Imagine a boardroom, high stakes meeting. The CEO sits at the head of the table, surrounded by board members. A critical decision needs to be made, millions of dollars on the line, the company's future hanging in the balance. Now tell me, what did you just picture? And be honest, were they men in suits or women? Well, if you imagine men, you are not alone. Most of us do. Even women imagine men. That's what this episode is about. The invisible line between I did it and we did it, and why women keep ending up on the wrong side of it. Hi everyone, welcome back to The Woman Next Door. I am Anukriti. Quick update before we dive in. I published episode 2, The Household CEO, last week, and I got some interesting feedback. My female friends said it resonated deeply with them. They felt seen. One said, "This is exactly what I am living." My husband? Well, he said it was borderline cribbing. And honestly, that tells me that the episode worked. Because my audience is women, and it hit the nail right where it needed to. Men don't always see the invisible labor because they are not carrying it. Women recognize it immediately because we are drowning in it. Which brings me to today's topic, I did it versus we did it. Episodes 1 and 2 were about dreams and invisible labor, things happening beneath the surface. Today we are talking about what happens above the surface. In meetings, in evaluations, in the moments where you either claim your work or let it disappear. This is about why women say we and men say I, and what it costs us. Let's get into it. What I've noticed is, ever since COVID has happened and the meetings have shifted into a virtual room setup, in these virtual meetings, some cameras are always off. And guess whose cameras are always off? Mostly women. Now, it's a very small thing. You might not even notice it, but it affects concentration and visibility. We are literally making ourselves invisible. The we versus I in stand-ups, the weekly meetings, the monthly updates, stand-ups where everyone shares what they have been working on. I myself do this all the time. We found this, we did this, we discovered. And I only say I when the task is singularly assigned to me, where no one else can possibly take or share credit. Talk about team effort and collaboration. Always a we. Same team, same meetings. Men say, I did it, I completed it, I found this. And they're not bragging, they're not arrogant, they're just stating what they did, covering their part. And I'm sitting there thinking, why do I reflexively deflect to we, even when it was mostly me? And the irony? I am about to say, we need to fix this. See? Even talking about the problem, I can't help myself. The moment that crystallized it for me was a recent meeting where I covered a colleague's work. He doesn't report to me, but we are working towards the same goal. I am leading the piece and he is doing the analysis work. I gave his update along with mine because they were under the same topic. I covered what he had been working on. End of the meeting. The manager asks, anyone else have updates? And this guy raises his hand. My manager asks, I think she covered your updates. And he says, no, there is something else that I want to add. And he proceeds to rephrase exactly what I already said. Nothing new, just rephrasing. And maybe adding the smallest little detail that he could. But he needed to be seen saying it. I had already given him the credit, already presented his work, already made him visible. But it wasn't enough for him. He needed the visibility of speaking his work, his part, by himself. For women, we are taught collaboration is feminine, self promotion is aggressive, team player is praise for women. It's just an expectation for men. Saying I feels like bragging to us, being difficult, not humble. We preemptively share credit to avoid being perceived arrogant. The boardroom test that I opened with, it proves it. Even we don't picture ourselves in power. For men, visibility equals value in corporate culture. They've learned it that if you don't claim it, someone else will. And it's not malicious, it's what they have been taught works. The guy who restated my update, he didn't apologize for interrupting. He didn't say sorry, but I just want to add. He just spoke because he felt entitled to be heard. And you know what? He was heard. And what's the cost of it? Well, the promotions go to people who are visible. V makes your contribution invisible, or at best shared. And over time, this compounds. Men get the credit, women fade into the background. And we participate in our own invisibility. And the numbers prove it. In India's formal private sector, women make up 33% at entry level. And by the time you get to the C suite, that drops to 17%. Meanwhile, men, they go from a whopping 67% at entry level to 83% at C suite. So men's representation grows as they grow up the ladder, women's shrinks. That 16-point drop for women, that's not because we suddenly become less competent halfway through our careers. That's visibility compounding. Because visibility leads to sponsorship. Visibility leads to managers' advocacy. When your manager thinks of who to put forward for the next big project, for the next big promotion, they think of the people they see performing, not the people who are quietly delivering. We did it. That makes our contributions invisible decade after decade. And invisible people don't get promoted. Now, look, there are other factors at play as well. Household responsibilities that fall disproportionately on the women, career breaks for caregiving, societal expectations, some women choosing different paths. I'm not saying visibility is the only reason for that 16-point drop, but it's the one that we can control. One we can change in ourselves starting today. I can't fix the societal expectations overnight. I can't redistribute the household labor across all of India. But I can start saying I when it's true. I can stop apologizing before speaking. I can keep my cameras on in the meetings. So that's what this episode is about. The part where we have agency over. And look, I am not saying management is always biased towards men. That's not the point here. The point is, women need to feel equally entitled to visibility. We need to command respect in the room. We need to command ears. We shouldn't always feel sorry for taking up space. The guy who restated my update, he didn't apologize for interrupting. He didn't say sorry. He just spoke because he felt entitled to be heard. And you know what? He was heard. Women apologize before asking questions. We say, sorry to interrupt when we are not even interrupting. We deflect credit before anyone else asks us to. Meanwhile, men interrupt actual conversations and they never say sorry. They just say quick point, quick update, quick observation, etc. We are making ourselves feel smaller. And what if we just Didn't. With all of these observations and some analysis in my mind, I've started to do certain things differently. I'm practicing saying I when it's true, in the sense that I say I completed the analysis, not we completed the analysis. It still feels uncomfortable though, like I'm being aggressive. But I'm realizing men don't see it as aggressive when they do it. Why should I? I'm also noticing when I do it, catching myself mid wheeze and correcting them to eyes. That's not perfect, but and I still default to we most of the time. But at least now I see the pattern. And there are some bits which I'm still struggling with. So the other day, I was taking a handover from a guy who was leaving my team recently. There was some additional work which was also given to me that he was taking care of, completely out of my zone. Now, during the handover, in my most honest self, I told him at least 2, 3 times, I don't know how you manage this or how you do it. It's so complex. I'm just hoping I get to where you are. Can you imagine? I said that out loud to a colleague who could easily go to my manager and say she's not up for it. That could change my manager's perception or decision to give me this responsibility. So now I'm sitting here wondering, did I just tank my own career progression? Or did I build trust through authenticity? Check back with me after a year once my performance review is completed, and then I'll let you know maybe. The other bit which I've tried to change in myself is phrasing of the questions or doubts during these such kind of sessions or walkthroughs. Instead of saying, I don't know how you do it and this is so complex, I am practicing saying, walk me through your process on this. I want to make sure I capture all the details. Same question, different framing. One sounds incompetent and the other sounds thorough. Now, it is an exhausting process to police your language like this all the time, but right now, that's the game. Now, the problem statement that we started this episode with isn't going to be solved by individual women just saying I more. The whole system rewards male visibility patterns. But while we wait for the systems to change, I'm not going to keep making myself invisible. I'll make those small shifts, turning on my camera in the meetings, unless, of course, there is an emergency and I can't turn on for some reason, saying I when it's true, not deflecting credit automatically, reframing questions to sound thorough instead of helpless. It's uncomfortable, it is exhausting, but that's how I know I am pushing against the conditioning. Here's why all of this matters to me, beyond my own career. Because I want more women in the room. Because right now, I am making these mistakes, the vulnerability, the we instead of I, the apologizing, and I'm only realizing them in the aftermath. When performance evaluations come, when somebody equally skilled and qualified gets the promotion I wanted. If there were more women in the room being confident, commanding attention, I would absorb the confidence automatically. I'd have models within my own company. I'd see it's possible. Currently in my team, I am one of the 2 women, and there are total 8 people. And that's not good. That needs to change. And these facets, visibility, saying I, performing confidence alongside competence, these are some of the things that will bring that change. So I'm on this journey, still figuring this out, still making mistakes, but I really, genuinely hope that you, women who are listening to this, are doing way better than I am. I do. Because next time I ask you to imagine a boardroom, I want you to picture at least a 50-50 split, men and women equally. Or if we are living in utopia, Well, 100% women in that room. Not because men shouldn't be there, but because right now, if I say imagine a leader, most of us, including women, don't picture ourselves. We picture someone who looks nothing like us, usually taller, with deeper voices, who definitely don't apologize before asking questions. Not because men shouldn't be there, but because right now our default imagination doesn't even include us. Let's change that default. Thanks for listening. I'll see you next week.